And we do encourage you get interactive. We're in to speak to a number of issues, and I've loved the way we have comprehensively started the discussions this morning, looking at that issue about the attempted suicide by a student of the KNUST, and I think that we have to put this into perspective. TV3 New Day, all of us, myself, Cookie, Bella, we want to encourage everybody else, including you, that we shouldn't make this a matter of stigma. Suicide is a very serious issue. And I think mental health also should be taken as seriously as we can. So there's no need for anybody to stigmatize anyone who attempts to commit suicide, or even anyone who is a friend to one who attempts to commit suicide. More so even the school, KNUST, or any other related school, or even anyone in any community who attempts suicide. Rather, we should show a lot of empathy. Let's try to listen to one another, and let's try as much as possible, if we can, to get help for those who would need that sort of thing. And I would want to go to a page of a very sweet, beautiful friend of mine, Watigi, and she is somebody who is a practitioner, of course, in the industry, psychiatry, related psychology, etc. If you go to her Facebook page, Fatih Mahmoud Watigi, Mahmoud is M-A-H-M-O-U-D, Watigi. Watigi is with a double T. And she apparently posted just 4 days ago some comprehensive post on suicide. And if you go and read, you will have a better understanding why it is that it is a problem. It's a disease that would need professional help. And just in case you notice anybody having that, please make sure that you give that person that help that the person needs. We also do encourage you to always get interactive. And you see me holding my phone because I want all of us to know that when we get interactive for the discussions that we do, we also have to keep the conversation as well as the comments that we make as salient as possible. Let me just introduce our guest for the morning. I have the Deputy Director of Communications Officer for the NDC, Basintali, is here. His car got busted in... Have you repaired the car?
Not yet.
I say not yet. Okay. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having
And then
me.
also, I called you during the week, right? Just to check on you. So,
Yes.
Awal is also Awal Mohammed. We're not enemies at all. So we come here to have some fresh conversations. So this morning we want to take a look at the minority is issuing a fiat. They are indicating that any day that the newly elected Member of Parliament for Asin North goes to court, they will not be sitting in the House. We have this compiled report by our parliamentary correspondent, Komna Kluche. Watch this, and when we come back, we'll be asking the question. Malik will be answering why they decided to toe that line.
Out of proceedings on Tuesday, July 4, the NDC MPs, party functionaries stormed the legislature in anticipation of a day they chose to celebrate the resounding victory of James Gyakye Quayson. Moments thereafter, former Head of State John Dramani Mahama entered the legislature, a place he once served as an MP, to exchange the pleasantries with his NDC compatriots. Amidst cheers, applause, the NDC MPs and party supporters went agog. Moments the Speaker asked James Gyakye Quayson to enter the House and be sworn in.
Quayson, having been elected a Member of Parliament, do in the name of the Almighty God swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance.
The oath of allegiance and oath of office as an MP were both administered to him.
So help me God. So help me God.
As James Gyakye Quayson commences his work fully as an MP, the minority has served notice of non-cooperation so long as their members are dragged to the court on a daily basis.
Mr. Speaker, we are solidarizing with our colleague and we will not participate in the business of the House anytime our colleague is in court, and we will be withdrawing from the chamber after this ceremony if the court processes indeed happens today. Mr. Speaker, amid persecution, cooperation will certainly suffer. Mr. Speaker, a word to a wise is in assent not.
But on the part of the majority leader, Gyakye Quayson, he took on what he termed selective complaints from the NDC MPs, further asking all MPs to show camaraderie with James Gyakye Quayson.
The NDC want to believe that this is a peak victory that would hurt the pride of the MPP, as the minority leader has alluded to. Of course, on the other hand, we, the parliamentary group of the MPP, also believe that this is a momentary victory of phantasmal character that certainly may not last. But, Mr. Speaker, that is the choice of the people of Assin North. And everybody must respect that whilst it lasts. The rest of it is in the hands of the Attorney General. Mr. Speaker, the rest of it, as we move from here, is in the hands of the Attorney General. Whilst he remains here, we can only embrace him as a member of Parliament, welcome him here to be a part of the fraternity whilst it lasts.
Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Parliament House, Accra.
Mr. Basintali, why?
The first question we should be asking is why some group of Ghanaians decided to boycott the will of the people of Assin North.
Being that what?
We must ask them why, after congratulating Honorable James Gyakye Quayson, I sat on this panel and I told you that I know who Mr. Akufo-Addo is. I know that congratulatory message was not from his heart, because I knew their mindset and I knew what they were about. Is it not surprising that after you congratulate a man, your party congratulates the man, you accept defeat, not just defeat, a landslide defeat. In fact, if you were in a boxing ring, it was a total knockout. Then, after accepting that knockout, you turn around to boycott that same swearing in. And you see, I'm sad because we may look at it as a mere political boycott. But you see, it goes a long way to explain the disrespect the MPP has to even our traditional authorities. We had kingsmen, we had chiefs from Assin North, distinguished personalities of this land, coming there to witness, I beg your pardon, a son of their land being sworn in, to witness who collectively they instilled their power or bestowed their power upon to represent them in the House of Legislature. And then on that same day, you look straight in the eyes of Nana ABC, you look straight in the eyes of chiefs and kings of the Assin North traditional area, and you walk out on them. This is exactly what they did.
And you are saying
so
that smacks of disrespect?
First of all, be asking them why they decided to engage in that walkout. I mean, to what end? Because your walkout was not going to stop the swearing in. Your walkout was not going to overturn the votes of the people of Assin North. Your walkout was not going to add anything or subtract anything from Honorable James Gyakye Quayson. But sheer hatred, wickedness. We don't know what this man has done to you. We don't know what the people of Assin North have done to you, that you decide to treat them in such a gruesome manner. These are questions, first of all, we must be asking members of the majority in Parliament. That walkout was shameless. And in fact, we mustn't continue on this spear. Why? We've been in Parliament when people in your party were sworn in. Kumau, so many others were sworn in. We sat there and we monitored. We observed. Because, I mean, beside he being a member of Parliament for Assin North, he's a brother. Beside he being a member of parliament for Kumewu, he's a brother, and we are all members of the house. And so if today you are being sworn in, why, I mean, what is the reason behind their walkout? This is the first question we must pose to them. The second thing is that the minority has decided to stand with the people of Asennov. Yes, they stood with us. They decided to vote for Honorable James Gyakye Quayson amidst vote buying, amidst very irresponsible comments by even senior statesmen of this land, amidst, lots and lots of intimidation, tactics and what have you. They voted for us. And so if they have voted for us and they have taken James Gyakye Quayson back to parliament, it's incumbent on us to also stand by them in these trying times. Why? We have decided that we cannot make laws in parliament without a representation from Asennov. And if you have decided to take him to court on a day where a bill is to be laid, if that bill is debated upon and passed in the absence of James Gyakye Quayson, it means we have disenfranchised the people of Asennov. And that is all we are saying. That look, we will escort the man. Laws in this country must bind every constituency, including Asennov. The people of Asennov pay their taxes. The people of Asennov are Ghanaian, just like you and I. And so in all fairness and equality, we feel that if you want to persecute a man who they have voted for twice, a man who has been sworn 2 times within the same 4-year period in the House of Legislature, then we will express our solidarity by standing with the entire people of Asennov whenever James Gyakye Quayson is being hauled before court. And that is the simple mindset behind what we are doing. Because you see, we may be in parliament on a day where they, especially they wanting to lay this anti-LGBTQI bill, which has always been, the intention of the MPP, which the president has always repeatedly, postulated that it is bound to happen in this country. On that day, if James Gyakye Quayson is called to court, we will go to court because we will not be part of an evil bill.
So what are you saying? You are saying that on any day that Gyakye Quayson will have to appear before the court,
we will follow him to court. And it's in solidarity with the people of Asennov. The point we are making is that laws cannot be made in this country in the absence of a representation of the people of Asennov. And the respect they have given to us as a party, we intend replicating it by also giving them same respect in standing in solidarity with Honorable James Gyakye Quayson. The third aspect is the arrogance of power. On this same platform, I've heard communicators of this government insult, chastise, criticize very harshly very great statesmen of this land on this platform.
And which statesmen are those?
I listen to communicators of them attack no other person than the Domahene. Speak so ill of him. And I shook my head and I said, arrogance of power. Is this the MPP we knew? Such rudeness. You said today, and you have the audacity to speak so ill of a other traditional areas. And I felt surprised that they were freely, to the extent that you could even call the Domahene a propagandist, a party propagandist. These were comments from them, and that he speaks just the way he wants to speak. Look, I think that we must get to a point where we must look straight in the MPP's eyes and tell them that you will not be in power forever. This sheer arrogance, so filled with power, that you can speak anyhow you want to speak to highly distinguished men. Why haven't you spoken same about Gyakye? A former attorney general. He shared same views. He said we should file a knowledge prosecution in this particular matter. Why haven't you insulted him? Pastors, members of the clergy have shared the same opinion. Chiefs, yesterday I listened to the kingsmen of Asenov, and you could see the passion to which they were pleading with President Akufo-Addo, and they repeatedly appealed to him that look, stop this wickedness, stop this hardened heart, stop this stoned hearts, stop acting like Pharaoh in the Bible. Sit up, respect the will of the people, appreciate the concerns and will of the Ghanaian people, and do what is right for once. This way the concerns of the people. A knowledge protocol was filed. And why the knowledge protocol was issued was because it was in the best interest of the country, and the country needed money. Did the Attorney General today, who has become a writer, did he write same scripts to the senior minister of Safo? Did he? Why? Is it not a legal procedure that laws of this country, even though no one is above, but they are subject to the will of the people? And if in that particular matter, the MPP thought it wise, that in filing a nolle prosequi in a matter that had to do with a Chinese citizen, Aisha Wan, who had muddied our water bodies, who had destroyed our forest reserves, who had condemned our lands in this country, and was subject to over 25,000 penalty counts in law. In fact, one, she breached immigration rules, which could have subjected her to over 15 years imprisonment. She breached mining laws, which could have subjected her to 25 years imprisonment. Add all these together, Aisha Wan should have been standing trial or should have been in jail for over 50 years in this country. This government, because they claim the party needed money, they claim the government needed money, they filed a nolle prosequi in that particular matter. They deported this young lady to her country and even had the guts to look in our faces and tell us that. Why is it that in this particular matter, after the will of the people has been expressed consciously, even in a by-election, you still have the guts to write a statement and tell people that you will not tamper with the laws of this country? Why? A basic one law student will tell you that the case of Abu Sakande is entirely different from the case of Honorable Gyakye Quayson. It is entirely. Sometimes I struggle to understand whether some people went to level 100 law class or they just skipped to level 200. Because if you go to level 100, they will teach you basic law. That has to do with the fact that, one, you should be conscious of the fact that Abu Sakande was in Parliament, traveling to Burkina Faso, traveling to UK with all the passports of these various respective countries. James Gyakye Quayson, even before the election, had received his renunciation certificate. Why? Are they not the same people that have attributed the woes of this economy to COVID-19? Election processes, they claim, begins from the filing of elections. Yet in other matters, they will tell you that the processes begin from that particular day of elections. And so we are telling them, and we are repeatedly saying, that we will stand in solidarity with Honorable James Gyakye Quayson.
Because of the belief that there's injustice?
The people, of course, the people of Asenov did not disappoint us. And so the NDC will never disappoint the people of Asenov. Roland, to conclude, please and please, the MPP must learn to respect the will of the Ghanaian people. This arrogance of power, speaking against anybody anyhow, disrespecting kingsmen of this land because you think you will be in power forever or because you think you are the helm of affairs. Please, we must get to a point where let's take the will of the people serious in this country.
What do you say to that? Especially this strong position that the minority has taken to make sure that they not appearing in the house, in the chamber, when they are supposed to do parliamentary work because they want to be in solidarity with Gyakye Quayson when he appears in court on any day.
Thank you so much. Good morning to our cherished viewers, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I think former President Mahama has said one thing that we will all attribute to him, that Ghanaians have short memories. I think the NDC, especially my brother, has shorter memories than any other person.
You mean, mean Malik or the entire NDC?
He himself sitting here. Former President Mahama said Ghanaians have short memories. That is something that is attributed to him. And he even has shorter memories than even the entire Ghanaians, because Ayawaso West Wogon, after that by-elections, what happened? After that Ayawaso West Wogon by-elections, did the NDC sit in the swearing-in of Lydia Sarah Malasa? No. They boycotted it and called her Bloody Widow. He says, we do not respect the will of the people of Assin because we boycotted Parliament yesterday for the swearing-in.
Are you equating?
No, I beg you. Let me flow. Let me flow. Is he saying?
I'll let you flow.
Yes.
Please listen
no,
to me. Are you equating the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election, the mayhem that was meted out to those individuals leading to that? Because I was in the middle of it. Indeed, that shot where Sam George was slapped, I took that shot. Are you equating that by-election to the by-election of Assin North? And as a result of that...
I'm not comparing by-elections.
Okay, so
I'm talking about swearing-ins.
Okay.
He mentioned swearing-in. I didn't compare any by-elections. There is no two elections that are the same. Elections are different. I'm saying that he says that because we did not go for the swearing-in yesterday, it is a disrespect to the people. And I'm telling you that you had boycotted Ayawaso West Wogon swearing in Parliament. That's the crux of the matter. Again, when President Akufo-Addo was elected the second time in 2021, you had an NDC Speaker of Parliament. You boycotted his swearing in. So, did you disrespect the people of this country? Yes, that's what you mean. But because if you boycott swearing in, it means you disrespected the people. So the first people to disrespect the people of this country is the NDC that boycotted the will of the people. When the people said President Akufo-Addo was validly elected, you went to court, you couldn't even prove a zilch of even what you have even mentioned to the people of this country. So boycotting is part of the parliamentary process. And there's nothing wrong with boycotting swearing in, because I have given two indications of boycotts that had happened in this country. One is even a presidential precedent. When you had even a Speaker of Parliament who is a member of your party, you left him all alone for the swearing in. That's one. Two is that I don't think TV3 will give anyone opportunity to insult any chief in this country. I doubt if TV3, as he claimed, that someone sat here and insulted Domahini. I don't think TV3 will allow, because I've been on this platform almost every week.
Yesterday, J. Hyde, do you know J. Hyde? Isaac J. Hyde. Yes. 3 days ago.
Yes, I know him. He's a deputy.
He called the Domahini an NDC propagandist.
That is a wrong assertion, because if you check, there is a story.
Do you condemn?
I condemn why he, because
that's what I repeated.
There is a news on Ghana Web.
Was he sent by the MPP, the ruling party and government, to come and say that?
No, that's what I'm telling you. That there is an edict by our national communications director that disagree with him, but do not attack him.
But he was attacked.
I'm saying that whoever attacks him did it wrong, because the party's position is that we disagree with what Domahini has said. It's not in our health to insult people like Domahini. You know, the MPP will never insult the clergy.
Mr. Isaac J. Hyde came to sit here.
I'm saying that if an individual does that, that's not the position of the party. The position of the party and the position of government is that we disagree with Domahini, and we disagree with almost all those who had said that Enole Prosokwa must be filed.
So all the insults.
Nobody should insult him.
How would you describe the insult by the ruling MPP assigns?
I'm saying that whoever insulted Domahini did that in a bad taste. It's not sanctioned by our party. It's not sanctioned by government. We have said it, that disagree with him. There is a story, as I just mentioned, on Ghana Web, that the edict is that disagree with him. Tell your disagreement, but do not insult him. Do not denigrate him, because in MPP, we don't insult the clergy. We don't insult the chiefs and so on. You know, this is our history, and it's open. So whoever has done that, I didn't listen. Honestly, if he had called him that name, it was unfortunate that he had done that, because even when the issue came, that was what the position of the party is, that nobody should denigrate him, nobody should insult him, nobody should insult anyone for doing that. That's one. Two is that Aisha Juan that you're mentioning is still standing trial. The last time I checked, she has been given 3 days to open her trial.
Who?
Aisha Juan. She has been given 3 days. Just yesterday, they were in court, and she has been given 3 days.
Did you watch the video of Yao Safumafu, a senior advisor or minister at the time?
So at that time,
giving her clearance when he traveled to meet the aspirants.
Yes, another prosecutor was issued. It was discontinued. She has been rearrested. The same charges that the knowledge prosecutor was issued has been brought back, because knowledge prosecutor doesn't mean that you have discontinued and you cannot revisit again. So the same charges, she's back on the same charges, and she's standing trial, and she has been asked to open defense. She has been given 3 days to open defense. And this is the state of the Aisha Juan case. Knowledge prosecutor on this issue, or the minority saying that they will follow him wherever he goes, whenever he is in court, they will follow him. This is much ado about nothing. Well, in this country, when former corrupt officials, people had solidarity, they all moved there to the extent that former President Rawlings was in court to even solidarize with some of them, and they were jailed. So I'm not surprised that the NDC is saying that they will follow, because this is something that they've been doing. You remember Free Chachu movement and so on. It didn't prevent the court from incarcerating him. You can't strangulate the court. Yesterday, after he even mentioned that they will follow him, the deputy minority leader came and said that they will even follow Ato Forsen and Collins Dauda whenever the trial, they call them to court. It's not limited to Gyakye Quayson alone. You know, the NDC, I know that they have a bunch of incompetent and corrupt officials that in the past were jailed. In the history of this Fourth Republic, there was no single person in MPP who was convicted of causing financial loss to the state or even stealing. But NDC has over 11 politicians jailed by a competent court of jurisdiction. Look at that Atoko Forcing case. The company that supplied us the Rikiti 207 that he called ambulances had come to even say that, please, the state, discontinue the case. We will pay. He is standing trial for causing financial loss to the state of about $1 million or euros. Now, the company that supplied those Rikiti cars that was rejected by ambulance services are saying that discontinue the trial so that you let him go scot-free, so that we pay the financial loss that you think you have caused this state. The NDC is saying that they will follow him and they will boycott parliament. They can go ahead to even not attend parliament at all. The case is still ongoing. Rule of law must work. The law must not be a respecter of persons. This is rule of law. If someone has broken the law, let's follow to the logical conclusion. Why? Is someone saying that someone can manipulate the court? When Domelevo won the case, did you also manipulate the court? Let's leave the court process to really work, as the Attorney General has said. These needless walkouts will not really prevent him from going. You can't strangulate the court and tell the court what to do just because the person
you don't think the president precipitated all this by giving that indication on that campaign platform on the eve of the Asim North by-election to say that Gyakye Quayson in the criminal matter will be in prison?
It's in court and will be going to court.
And that they shouldn't elect somebody who will be in jail.
Who will be going to court every day. That was what the president said. He will be going to court after being elected because he was in court.
Please recall the president.
No problem. No problem. But the hindsight, when someone sits here to tell me that in law, basic law should tell you that the two cases are not the same. There are no two cases that are the same, but they are almost similar. The issue has to do with dual citizenship. In Adamo Sakandi, this one too has to do with still dual citizenship on filing. That's how. That's what the Supreme Court has said. The Supreme Court said that he was not eligibly elected because at the time of the filing of nominations, he had dual citizenship. This is something the Cape Coast High Court said in 2021. And it was affirmed by the Supreme Court to the extent that the Supreme Court had to say that, go and expunge his name from the register. Do as if he has never even attended Parliament before. This is what the Supreme Court has said.
Let's hear the President.
Yeah, poor Piano Baba Sumbo. No, Piano Nasam Baba Hamwaje. Let him be newspaper move. I say North MP say, I say North MP say. Yana here. Yeah, poor Piano Baba Yajuma. Now the fiancé of every trade Baba Yajuma. Maybe some would the fiancé of Baba to be Baba Yajuma. And that man I will to be prison. I die a man I will to be prison. So I call Uncle Dream Mohua, Uncle Fan Homa. Nasan Abamo. If you say NDC for a penny, sir. Miss Ram.
It's a notice. It's a fiancé.
Yes.
It's a prison.
Yes. So the person is in court.
So the president already knows that the man will go to prison.
No, but you see.
And is that not why the minority are now making sure that they solidarize with their member who has just been elected and sworn in?
Solidarizing with members. I mentioned that when Chachuchi Kata was in court, they had the minority solidarizing.
And you are saying that when they can do all, but jail will happen.
I'm not saying jail
now, what
will
are you
happen.
saying?
It's the court that will determine. All these people I mentioned, Sipa Yankee, Ibrahim Adams, William
there was solidarity, but they went to jail.
Just 2 years ago, former deputy national security coordinator is languishing in jail at the moment. They solidarize with them.
Gyakye Quayson will be in jail.
I have not said that. I have not said that he will be in jail.
Okay.
He's on trial. Let the law works. This is someone who is going to be a lawmaker, and we should allow him to break the law. No. You shouldn't allow someone who wants to be a lawmaker in this country. So we should just file a nolle prosequi. What our former Attorney General Ayuko said, he said it's not based on law. He said what he said is not based on law. He said he feels that let's file a nolle prosequi for political reasons. He said we still need the people. It's only 16 months to elections, so we still need to win that seat. And that's the reason he said file a nolle prosequi. But he didn't say that the case does not have any merit. He said when the case continues, per what the Supreme Court has said, that he was not eligibly elected, it means you and I know that he lied. Because that was what the court said. The court in Cape Coast said that he lied because he sworn an oath that he didn't have any allegiance with any country. And he had allegiance with Canada at that time that he filed. Yeah. So,
but it's not related to the Adamo Sakandi case, is it?
It's dual citizenship.
Yeah,
that's the relation.
All right.
Whether the fine details are different, fine details can be different because
if
they
you
are
look at
two
the
different regions.
sequence of cases that have been cited by a while, the sequence of events pre those cases, which are the solidarity of the membership of the NDC, whether they were in Parliament or just within the public political arena, jail will happen.
Did I say that?
President Akufo-Addo has decided.
You didn't say
I didn't say that. I only
now,
mentioned Supreme Court said that he was not eligibly elected, so you could tell where the story is going.
Okay, so you are saying that. So where is the story going, Awa?
But you could tell that he's facing trial, and the Supreme Court had already said that he was guilty, because when they say that he was not eligibly elected, his name must be expunged from the register of Parliament.
So where is he going? Where is the criminal court case heading?
I cannot tell.
Okay. So Roland, first of all, he spoke about boycotts in Parliament.
But he's questioning why you have to boycott.
And I am surprised that even the cases he cited, or the instances he cited, are entirely different from this particular one. And let me get that to him once.
I said you
one,
mentioned swearing in.
I beg your pardon. Yes, swearing in, I'll get that. One.
That's all.
2012, you boycotted President Mohamed swearing in. Why? Because you needed to go to court. And you did not accept your defeat in 2012. That was reasonable. 2020, we boycotted President Akufo-Addo's swearing in. Why? Because we needed to go to court and we hadn't accepted defeat. Abba, you cannot link these two cases.
Issues with that? You had issues with our boycott
I'll
yesterday.
explain. Oh, can you allow me?
Issues.
I'll explain it to you.
Yesterday.
Please.
I don't have any
you
issue
see,
with
you don't listen, and that is why you repeat some of these things. Listen critically. Two, are you also West Wagon? Look at all the things that happened there. To the extent that we pulled out of that particular election. True or false? We pulled out. We didn't end in that election. You guys went to our candidate's house, you shot spontaneously, you shot people, you attacked people everywhere. A member of parliament was attacked, and we pulled out of the election. We didn't end it. So we had every right to boycott. But your confused party, and listen to this, accepted defeat in Asenov. Your confused party congratulated the MP-elect for Asenov, James Gyakye Quayson, and then you come again and you boycott. What are you boycotting? What is your reason? I've given you reasons why all these past elections were boycotted, including you boycotting President Mahama in 2012. What was your reason? What was your reason? So this is how confused your party is. The second point has to do with you saying that the NDC had prosecuted people whilst in office. Hey,
did I mention
how can you prosecute people under your government? How? Tell me.
That?
One, you have a chief corrupt agent, a chief clearing agent, a mother serpent of corruption at the helm of affairs. This mother serpent of corruption will sit down and clear his own appointees even before they stand trial. Why? On repeated basis. People who have even been convicted by the court of public opinion. The health minister who took 120 million without recourse to parliament, without due process, went and bought drugs that never even arrived in this country. Well, when he was exposed, he apologized.
He apologized.
So okay, then James Gyakye Quayson has apologized. Then all other people have apologized. Apology. And the chief clearing agent cleared him. How can you prosecute your people when anybody at the helm of affairs in fighting corruption is being fought? One, Martin Amidu, who was appointed by same Akufo-Addo, wrote a letter that he cannot stay one day with criminals and thieves. These were the comments of Martin Amidu. Roland, true or false? Martin Amidu resigned. He fled. He left your government because he claimed he could not live again. He could not survive. He was choking with corrupt officials. And the leader of all these corrupt officials was Mr. Akufo-Addo, who was the mother serpent of corruption. Dr. Bawumia, why? Appearance fee, all these corrupt deals where people are charged $250, $250,000. And I kept asking myself, where Dr. Bawumia learned how to even take appearance fee or $250,000 from galamseyers. Because in the north, we don't have galamsey pits. Who is teaching him corruption at the presidency? And then you sit here to say corrupt officials were in the NDC and they were not in the MPP. When you are being led by the chief mother serpent of corruption, who was even caught on tape, collecting brown envelope from people and licking his fingers. Please, I don't want us to descend that low. Third, don't be jittery. Relax. I gave you all the time. Third is you stating that...
Check the time.
Oh, you are now asking for people to check the time. When you were saying all what you wanted to say. You are speaking about Aisha 1. I'm surprised. And in anything he speaks about, when you put it to him, he does a U-turn again. You asked him, that was a nollie prosequi filed in the Aisha 1 matter or not? What was his answer? He said yes. So, what was your argument in it? We are saying that a nollie prosequi was filed in a matter of a Chinese, where she was destroying our forest reserves, destroying our lands, destroying our water bodies. You filed a nollie prosequi. You took her back to her country. This lady grew wings to the extent that she used Cote d'Ivoire in coming back into this country. Was found mining. It took Ghanaian people to arrest this one. It was a citizen arrest. And just because it was a citizen arrest, you've taken her back to court again and you claim you are prosecuting her. You claim you are prosecuting her for how many years now? She was caught in 2021. We are in 2023. You claim you are still prosecuting her. You are now telling me that they are stating that you should open a docket and you come do what in that docket when you had already deported her in filing a nollie prosequi and protecting a corrupt a disaster like Aisha 1. Is that what you are trying to tell me here on this platform? Look, in this particular matter, one, all what I said, you have accepted. Your deputy youth organizer was sitting on this chair, Roland, calling the Domahene all sorts of names here, including a political party, in fact, no, an NDC propagandist. These were the words used. I'm happy you are condemning it. I'm happy, but I hope that you take this to your National Executive Committee body. Whenever you get an opportunity to meet your national officers, advise them to stop insulting chiefs. I know you are not an appointee, but when you meet your appointees, tell them that this arrogance of power, this attitude of not respecting the will of the people, this conduct of disrespecting and feeling pompous, feeling big over all Ghanaian indigents, including chiefs, clergy, and everybody in this country, must stop. Your condemnation here should proceed to the doorsteps of all these your political apparatchiks. And I was happy that you drew his attention that some MPP people were found doing it and insulting all these people in this space. And this is what you should be doing. Roland, we have gone through the processes of the ascent matter. Honorable James Gyakye Quayson, I don't know how many times I'll repeat it before a while. You learn from this. You have stated that no two cases are equal in law. Who told you that? I steal a fowl, you steal a fowl. Is that not an equal case?
The circumstances.
Who told you that? Who told you that no two cases are equal? Look, you see, you don't listen, and that is why you are not learning.
If it's a criminal matter, the intent also would have to.
And if the case, if the case has to do with stealing,
the state of mind of the person,
and we have stolen, and you have stolen, and we appear before court, that is why we have case law. They use a case, a judgment in a particular case to give a ruling in a particular matter. This is level 100 law. Learn this. Learn this once and for all so that you don't repeat it. Okay. They use the case, the ruling in a particular case to give a ruling in another case. And President Akufo-Addo, who stood on the podium, used the case of Abu Sakande in determining the outcome of this particular case. And all we are saying is that, one, Mr. James Gyakye Quayson did not go into the election with owing allegiance to any country. And you keep repeating dual citizenship. Let me correct you again. Take the 1992 Constitution and show me where it speaks about dual citizenship. Take it. Give him the 1992 Constitution. He should show me where it speaks about dual citizenship. There is a difference between allegiance and dual citizenship. In this particular matter, it has to do with allegiance.
Just hold on for me.
Absolutely.
Just hold on for me. I have the Director of Communications for the MPP, Mr. Richard Anyagba. Good morning.
They are now becoming two.
You said you wanted to make an explanation. To what exactly, sir?
Roland, thank you very much. I have been following your discussions this morning. And on the matter that had just gone past, where it would appear as if I think you played the president's voice. And the clarification was that he was suggesting that Mr. Gyakye Quayson would go to jail. I just wanted to put on record that the president did not initiate that conversation. He was responding to the NDC position, a position that was canvassed in as enough to say that vote for him even if he goes to jail. And so the president's retort was that if the man goes to jail, how can he work? And I think that is important because this issue has been discussed as though that the president was prejudicing the case to suggest that he will go to jail as a matter of fact. But he was responding to what the NDC's position is canvassing to say that vote for him even if he goes to jail. And I think that is important to put on record. But generally speaking, Roland, I somehow disagree with the position that is being advanced to say that because people are calling for nolle prosequi to be filed.
Ms. Anyagba, hold on with the nolle prosequi issue. If you listen to the president very carefully, and the insert that we tend to play doesn't make the reference to Gyakye Quayson's own position and then the position of the NDC. But after he made that reference to that position, he goes on to say that a man who is in jail, how can that person become your representative in Parliament?
Yes.
That is a direct reference and a conclusion made by the president that Gyakye Quayson in that criminal matter will be in jail, unless you say that is otherwise.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I just explained. Everything I said is what you just restated.
No, there are two different matters.
He was responding to a position that is being canvassed in the constituency to say that you should vote for Gyakye Quayson, even if he goes to jail, even if he ends up going to jail, vote for him. And he says that how can a person in jail then be your MP? In other words, don't vote for him, even though the NDC says vote for him, even if he goes to jail.
Mr. Richard Anyagba, everybody had the president. How come everybody understands the president except you and assigns of the ruling party that the president said something differently?
Well, I'm bringing to your notice a fact that was happening in the constituency. You know, the president spoke parts of the campaign conversation. It's a rally, right? It's not after the fact. It is during the campaign. And so he is responding to messages of the NDC in the constituency as we campaign.
Whilst the president also says that he will be in jail.
Hold on. So let me bring this to your notice. Maybe you were not there, so you don't know. In the process of campaigning, the NDC was saying that vote for the man, even if he ends up going to jail. And this same position was canvassed. In fact, if you remember, January 6th, January 7th, when we had to elect a speaker, in creating space for Gyakye Quayson to vote, to be part of the vote, Honorable Haruna Idrisu advanced that, well, allow him to vote, and whatever the matters would be afterwards, he will deal with it. The argument that allowed for him to vote, this was the position that was canvassed then. And so in the campaign, the idea was that they said, well, if Gyakye Quayson ends up going to jail, just vote for him. This was their campaign message. And the president was retorting to that to say that if the man ends up going to jail, how can he represent you? He's not initiating a new conversation. He's responding to the NDC message. Okay. So I just wanted to put that on record.
Right. Mr. Anyagba, before you move to the issue of the nolle prosequi, why is it that when the president speaks, and this time he spoke again, and we are now regurgitating and trying to explain what the president said at a public event that everybody heard and understood him clearly. Now we are explaining what he said, but we all understood what he said.
Well, Roland, that's a good question ordinarily, but it doesn't apply here.
It doesn't apply. Please speak on the issue of the nolle prosequi, Mr. Anyagba. Please go ahead and speak on the issue of the
Let me just clarify. So what I have just done here is not explain the president.
Because that's exactly what you are doing, sir.
No. Hold on. What I've just done is to give you context to understand what the president said. So I didn't explain you. You didn't have full context. So because you don't have context, you think
I do have full context, actually.
So I just explained.
I do have full context, Mr. Anyagba. On the contrary.
Context, so you understand that somebody said something and he is responding to what the person said. So I can move to the nolle prosequi.
Please briefly.
The point we are getting to is to create the impression that because something was done yesterday, it should be done today.
But
the determination of filing a nolle prosequi is not an external inducement, it's a determination by the prosecutors of the case. So the people who are prosecuting the case, seeing there's evidence or lack of evidence, seeing the future of their case, make a determination. That's allowed in case management to do. But where we have a situation where we're now having active external canvassing of a position to say that, a file for nolle prosequi, we're saying that it creates a poor incentive for people to always put pressure. That leads subsequently or in the future to undermining the delivery of justice and interference with the judiciary.
Mr. Anyagba, hold your fire. Mr. Anyagba, hold your fire. A former Attorney General. Mr. Anyagba, hold your fire. Mr. Anyagba, hold your fire. A former Attorney General, Gyakye Quayson, of an MPP government, raised this issue also. Are you saying that he is among the many who are canvassing the position that you are touting?
Well, I'm not saying this in respect to people. I'm just saying the external inducement to say that something must be done, which I think that should be the sole determination of those who are managing the case on the basis of the fact that, one, we don't have sufficient evidence to proceed with the case. Remember, filing a knowledge prosecutor is not in the vacuum. There must be a basis for it. What is driving that? There must be an incidental happening that says that if we proceed with this case, this outcome and that outcome, and we see a bigger picture to say that to pull away from the case is better. So you don't make that determination by a call by people to say, let's do that, let's do this. Because what you then do is that, Roland, you create an incentive for subsequent repeat of those things where the people can just amass up and say, look, let's call for this, let's call for that. That interrupts unduly the legal processes and it undermines the judiciary. And I think that we should allow for the law to run its course, allow for the processes to unfold, so that when in the final analysis, people are found guilty or people are acquitted, then we know that our laws are working as they should. That does not mean that the Honorable Gyakye Quayson will go to jail. It doesn't mean that he will be acquitted, but it only means that our laws will not be undermined, our judiciary will not be undermined. That is simply what we're asking for. The idea that my brother is arguing very forcefully for, yes, because it suits him. But the thing is that if it suits him and it doesn't suit me, it's not something that we need to quibble about, but we actually need to argue about what suits the law and the integrity of our laws. And I think that that's really the position we're trying to hold loyal to, because if you do that, you create a very bad incentive for subsequent interferences with our laws, which will not be good for all of us. We advocate for equality before the law, and what situation we have here, I think all of us must ensure that the law runs its course. And in the end, we'll take the judgment that comes and work with it, please.
Thank you very much for intervening for Awa Mohammed right here. You are speaking. Thank you. And Richard Ahiagba is Director for Communication. He's speaking for you. Because he came to update your information. So he's taking your place.
But your Communication Director has taken the rest of your time. You want to talk again? That's okay. President Akufo-Addo will speak. Richard Ahiagba will come and defend and try to make it seem as if
he says that
what he said
we are taking the thing out of
that's place. One. Dr. Bawumia will speak. They will come and do same thing. I think it's high time Richard Ahiagba becomes a linguist, so that anytime any of these people is going to mount a platform and speak, he will come and squat in front of him. Then they whisper into his ears. Then he explains to us what the person really intended, because this it's fair, because he cannot he cannot know better. With the greatest of respect, he can. That is not fair. Please, that is unfair. Let me explain this. Let me take it.
Rephrase it, please.
The president.
Let's have a genuine conversation.
Can I make my point?
Great.
The president says Honorable James Gyakye Quayson is jail bound. He cannot save the people from prison. He's made a judgment on him. Richard Ahiagba wakes up at 8 o'clock. He's not in the studio. He has a rep in the studio. He calls from his house saying that if the president says he's jail bound or he can't save them from prison, it didn't really mean the man is going to prison. So where is the man going to? When the president said he can't save them from prison. Why? Has prison suddenly become a restaurant? Where if the president says prison, it could simply mean a chop bar. Is that what he intends saying? And then we ask that he becomes a linguist, and you say we shouldn't take that platform. Look,
who is a linguist?
Richard Ahiagba should become a linguist to them, so that they whisper into his ear and broadcast it. We have given instances in the Kumasi court case where a court judge was beaten to pulp. The Attorney General filed a nolle prosequi. True or false? The matter was discontinued in that particular matter. So how is it big that in this particular matter, all king's men of the land, including founding fathers of your party. And I was happy that you asked him that if he claimed that all people, the many who are saying that they should file a nolle prosequi in this matter, are probably only speaking out of with lack of facts on the matter. You asked him what he thought about what Oyukoyotu said. And he said he didn't mean human beings. He was stating it in context. When it has to do with your party person, it was in context. But when it has to do with kings, chiefs, and elders, that one you sit comfortably and you attack. Look, I don't respond to Richard Enyagba simply because if he wants to be in studio, he should come at 7 a.m. They shouldn't send a rep. He should sit here so that we address these issues. If you send Awal and you have anything for Awal, send it to him via text message. You don't sit in your house, wake up at 8 and want me to address issues. We are concluding on this matter. As enough, the minority will stand in solidarity with them. Anytime the MP, Honorable James Gyakye Quayson, who was validly elected by over 5,000 people, close to 5,000 people in the constituency, appears before court, the minority will go there and will stand in solidarity with him. If they decide to give him a chamber and hall in court, we will go there and will sleep there with him. Anything they decide to do with him in court, the minority will go there and will be with him. We can't pass laws with the absence of representation from our Senate. That is our matter, our case in this particular matter.
I have a video. I have a video of Katie Hammond. Please play that video for me.
No. I'm not supposed to do politics. No, I'm not supposed to do politics. It's only politics. Mr. Minister, it's a serious allegation I'm making against the man. Serious allegation against No. I'm not supposed to do politics. No, I'm not supposed to do politics. It's only politics. Mr. Minister, it's a serious allegation I'm making against the man. Serious allegation against
Member of Parliament,
Yes.
Minister, please, Amale. You said there was a formal statement that was issued, right, by the party. And this is a respected member of the party describing the Domahini as an NDC member. Do you think it is fair, despite the statement that has been publicly issued nationally by the MPP?
I'll come to that. Let me just do some few rebuttals so that I come to that.
Enyagba has done that.
No, please.
In 2009.
Respond to this and then you
Yes,
can
in
go there.
2008. I'm coming. I will.
That is unfair
you
to me,
confuse
Roland.
me.
I'm having two
In
people.
2008, we heard the rehash. They are corrupt. When we come, we jail them and so on. When the NDC came, just like he's saying someone is corruption,
Respond to
someone
the
is
video.
corrupt, someone. I'll respond. I'm
Matter.
coming, but it's not part of the things.
But
that I'm
you've
supposed
talked
to
about
respond.
Tachuchi Kata and some of those
No,
things.
I'm coming.
No,
I'm
Malik,
coming. When he mentioned all these things, today they are back at it again, saying this minister is corrupt, that minister is corrupt, this person has been cleared, and so on. In the history of the Fourth Republic, no one is guilty until proven guilty by a competent court of jurisdiction. 11 people who are NDC former ministers were jailed for causing financial loss to the state and stealing. There is no single MPP official in the first Kufuor administration. You arrested Asabi in airport. You arrested Oseje and some few other people. They went to court and they were acquitted and discharged. The NDC has former ministers who were jailed. When you talk about corrupt officials, government officials in this country, it is NDC and not MPP, because there is no single person in MPP who has ever been jailed or convicted for causing financial loss to the state or stealing.
What is that?
You cannot just by word of mouth say that this one is corrupt, this one is corrupt, because we are in a democracy. In a democracy, when you say someone is corrupt, you have to prove it in court. You took some people to court, you couldn't prove. And they were left off the hook. They were
React to the video. You've gone to 1998, 2008.
That's one.
Oh, please.
That's one. Martin Amidu did corruption.
Respond to the video.
But
Then
we're
we'll come.
having a discussion. I'll still get to that. You've given me time.
them
So
so
give
much-
me
so much time,
Allow
bro.
me.
You give
If
them
I
so
will
much time.
use 1 minute of my time to
Anyagba
do
King
that, I'll
responded.
do it.
He's responding again.
So I'm saying that Martin Amidu did
One
a corruption
conversation.
risk assessment on Ajapa. And on the corruption risk assessment, that was the reason the Ajapa deal was not even implemented. After that, he resigned. So who hound him out? He did corruption risk assessment of a Ajapa deal. And after that, the president said, hold on with the Ajapa deal. Let's not implement it because of the corruption risk assessment.
You also did a description of the president.
Yes.
So that same person who didn't
You are
do
picking and
anything,
choosing.
drew salary. Now I'm saying that the same person drew salary, didn't do anything, had the independence to work, was even given opportunity to do the corruption risk assessment, did everything, and at the end of the day said that he has really resigned. And you are telling me that the government hound him, and he came on with adjectives without proving. He's someone who thinks that
Speak to
he's
the
a
video.
citizen vigilante.
I will
can
speak
do
to the
everything.
video.
He couldn't do that. Again, as I said, those who were assigned to speak on radio on Thursday, on 3 days ago, after the Domahini had spoken,
were told to insult
those
him.
who were assigned to speak on radio, those who were assigned to speak on behalf of government on major platforms were admonished not to attack the personality of the chief. They were admonished not to denigrate him, but disagree with him because we disagree with his point. And that is it. That is my response to the video and the other things that you said some people had said.
Okay.
This is the position of the party. The MPP as a political party is saying that we will not endorse any denigration or insult on any chief. We will not endorse any insult on anyone. And our position is that we disagree with him. The Domahini spoke his mind. The Domahini went there as Domahini, and we respect the people of Doma. We respect him as a chief. And we believe that he was wrong in that bit. And we believe that the case must continue, rule of law must work. The solidarity, the moving of the NDC, entire NDC, you can move the entire 14 or entire 6 or 5 million that voted for you to the courts. It doesn't prevent the court from executing justice if really the case is before the court. That's very important. You cannot really force the court to do what you want to do. This is someone who will want to go and be a lawmaker. And you want us to break the law because that way. So what precedents are we setting? So indeed, because of political reasons, you mentioned that our former Attorney General, Ayuko Otu, mentioned that we should discontinue.
Mr. Hinyaba spoke to that.
No, your premise was wrong because he said, let's do it on a political basis. He didn't say law. He said politically, if we go, there will be a by-election. When we go back, we may lose. So let's leave it so that at least later we'll be able to win that seat. That was the reason our former Attorney General mentioned. He didn't say just discontinue because by law there's no case. The NDC is saying that there is no case. That's the position of the NDC. Even right now, he espoused the same position that there is no case in the Gyakye Quayson case. Let's allow the court to work so that at least
now
if he's guilty,
let's try and wrap up with the second issue, which is about the presidential primaries of your party.
Yeah.
Kwabena J. Japan, you know him, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Former General Secretary.
He's been raising concerns about a lack of level playing field in this race. What do you say to that?
I think I doubt if there is no level playing field in this context. If you look at the processes that leading to this context, to the vetting that happened yesterday, and today there are some few who will go to vetting. They've been given equal opportunities. I think I heard him once talk about the endorsement by some CEOs, some ministers of state, and some few other people endorsing one candidate or the other. Mm-hmm. He had issues with that. And you see, in this case, it is difficult to restrain people from endorsing one person or the other. Because even in the 90s, when we had, even though those days we didn't have ministers, but we had MPs who endorsed candidates and so on. You can't restrain people from endorsing people. He believes that the endorsement by a lot of government officials for Dr. Bawumia and Alan Chiramantin does not really augur well for the party.
Is that not true?
I had wished that at least you may not have high-profile personalities coming out to openly campaign and so on. Yeah. But you see, when you check the process, as I said, in 2007, you had the same. In 2015, you had the same. You had high-profile people to the extent that you remember when Sir John said, even if President Akufo-Addo is in wheelchair, we'll still present him. Those days, he was the General Secretary of the party and so on. So, yes, there is a level playing ground. I think it didn't really compromise the elections at that time when people endorsed people. I have a vote, and my vote is for Dr. Bawumia.
But that's the problem. All of you are just going around supporting Dr. Bawumia.
Not Dr. Bawumia alone. Alan had people supporting him. Free Akoto had people. Former Kenwood Norsu of the former regional chairman for Volta region was there with him to file, and some few other chairmen and so on. They went there and supported. Just like when the NDC ended theirs, they were on publicly saying former President Mama is the next leader and so on. Almost all the national executives had one way or the other endorsed him. So yes, we can think about it and see, is the endorsement really compromising on the elections? No, I don't think any endorsement will compromise on the elections. If I sit here, I did not sit here to campaign for Bawumia. If I want to come and campaign for Bawumia, I may get time to come and campaign for him. But when you ask me where my vote is, I'll tell you it's with Bawumia. The same as when you ask MP for Botiano English Amount from who also has one vote, will also say his vote is for Alan Chiramantin. The same as when you ask people like the former Greater Accra Regional Chairman, former Regional Chairman for
Sammy Crab?
Yes, no, not Sammy Crab. One of the former regional chairman is with Akoto and some few other people. If really the endorsement compromises on the elections, that's really wrong. But I don't see it really having an effect on the elections. The most important thing is that go out there, campaign to the people. We're yet to meet Kwabena Japan in our constituency where he hails from. You know, he hails from the Asawasi constituency, and he even lives there. So we're yet to meet him as delegates from the Asawasi constituency. He should come, talk to us, convince the voters that he is the best person to really lead the party.
That's why you're creating the uneven playing field.
Yes, I'm saying that whoever goes everywhere was given the opportunity. Akoto came, we gave him the opportunity. Alan Chiramantin was in Asawasi constituency and met some of the delegates and so on. Dr. Bawumia will be there tomorrow. He will be in Ashanti region on Thursday and will start his tour on Thursday in Ashanti region. Go there, talk to the delegates. It doesn't necessarily mean that if someone endorses someone, it doesn't mean that the person will win. We have had instances where you had big wigs supporting someone and the person lost. At a point in time, you remember in 2007, it happened that they all said that the entire government machinery was with Alan Chiramantin. He eventually lost. So it doesn't necessarily mean that if people really endorse you, that means that there's no level playing grounds. Work at the delegates. We'll have 140,000 delegates to really convince. So he should just work on that and continue. I have not seen. If he had given us instances, the only instance I heard was that when he said a lot of the party officials and government officials. I have not heard Justin Kodua as General Secretary of the party endorsing any of the candidates. Nana B has not endorsed any of the candidates. The national chairman has not endorsed any of the candidates. Richard Ahiagba has not endorsed any of the candidates. But there are some few people, some few ministers. Yesterday, Amewu was with, he's a minister. He was with Alan Chiramantin campaigning for him. You can still find people to campaign, everyone with a strategy. There are places that when you go with Dr. Bawumia, he's the only person who speaks. So
that's why he's complaining. All of you have been whipped into line.
Nobody has been whipped into line. Okay. That's why I'm saying that. If there are whips, then nobody will have followed these personalities I mentioned, Alan Chiramantin and other people. Nobody has whipped everyone on the line. We believe that the best person, the person who has been running mate for 8 years, the person who has been vice president for 6 years, the person who has been part and parcel of the MPP's every single decision that the MPP has taken from 2008. He's a member of National Executive Committee of the party, a member of National Council of the party from 2008 up to today, and has been part and parcel of every decision of the party. Some of us believe that he's the best person to lead the MPP, Dr. Bawumia.
Roland, first of all, to even land on that matter, he has stated that nobody has been jailed under the MPP before.
Oh,
I'm just landing on it. For corruption.
Yes.
Maybe I've told you that nobody will be jailed under your government because you are always being led by a mother serpent of corruption. In 2008, Erica Martin, you remember?
Is that correct?
Erica Martin
was jailed
in the US for cocaine because the local party would not jail him. So if you fail to arrest your own corrupt
This is
officials,
what logic?
if you fail to arrest your
Someone
own people,
who has been
the
arrested with
US,
cocaine in
can
the
you
US?
control him? You made your point.
And you're saying we should prosecute him. How do
Nobody
we
allowed you.
prosecute
Can we
him?
allow you? I'm giving you. I'm giving you one instance.
Government official.
He was jailed in the US. Tell him to drink water. He should relax.
Wow, you were here.
Yes,
You
yes.
made.
I allowed you. I gave you the
went to
chance.
1968.
19, we allowed you. 1982, we allowed you. Even you went to 2007 when you were even with the NDC, we allowed you.
So your point is what?
So point is that if you have refused to jail your own people, it is simply because you are being led by corrupt officials who have been described by your own appointees as being not being fair. I mean, can you please control?
Wow, sincerely, you are being disruptive.
I allowed you. I gave you all the time.
When you were
so why is it that you are
talking,
interrupting? Why are you being
let's be
jittery?
fair, okay?
Stop acting like a witch surrounded by Holy Ghost fire. Listen, and that's the problem. Now, if you fail to jail your appointees because you are being led by a mother serpent of corruption, the US Embassy will expose you. And don't ever think that the NDC will come to power and spare your corrupt officials. If that is what is behind your minds, and that is why you are being so corrupt and stealing monies anywhere, 2025, you would see the prosecutions that will stand. To come on this matter, I have heard many of them from their party speak so ill of government appointees under their own administration. And when he was mentioning people that were mentioned or named or fingered by Kwabena Japan, he forgot to mention the president. Kwabena Japan mentioned President Akufo-Addo's name. He said Akufo-Addo is campaigning and should stop campaigning for Dr. Bawumia. He mentioned Akufo-Addo. He mentioned other people. And then you stated in your own commentary, you said he said lots of MPP big men. Then you went further to say that, but the General Secretary hasn't campaigned for him. What did you understand by he saying lots? Did lots mean everybody? Of course, if the General Secretary hasn't campaigned, does not mean other people are not. The man has mentioned the names of ministers. He's mentioned the name of President Akufo-Addo himself. And he said that we should even stop Dr. Bawumia from using state resources to campaign. Kwabena Japan said this. I didn't say it. He said the man drives a V8. He uses state fuel. He uses state resources to travel across the country. You cannot pay NAPCO trainees. School feeding caterers are owed 207 million. Fertilizer contractors are owed 487 million. Lots contractors are being owed everywhere. You can't pay them. Government has no money. But you have money to fund the whole convoy of Dr. Bawumia traveling, dancing, campaigning, being ahead. Can you hold in one? Control your panelists. Dancing everywhere and doing whatever they want to do.
He only said our reporters were there. That's just
your media was not anyway doing whatever he wants to do with state resources. And Kwabena Japan has said this. The second intriguing message is how suddenly all their presidential aspirants are preaching change. Hey, Roland, I thought change was a message for opposition parties. For the first time in the history of this country, even Dr. Bawumia is preaching change. He says we should vote for him. He will change the economy. Alan Chamati says they refuse to listen to his advice. And that is why we are at the wheelbarrow, at the IMF, in a wheelbarrow. All other presidential aspirants. Kennedy Japan says he has a way of turning the economy around. This is the first time that after a ruling party, members of that same ruling party will be preaching change. Why? In 2012, when President Mahama took over from President Mills as flag bearer, he didn't preach change. He preached continuation. And that was why we had the continuing the better Ghana agenda. Why did he preach continuation? He had confidence in the economic management team he had superintended over. He had confidence in the track record of the NDC. He knew what we had done. He knew we had built schools. He knew we had built hospitals. He knew we had built airports. He knew we had built roads. He knew we had built markets. And they were visible. He knew we had attained 1 million tons in cocoa production, and he was confident to lead the economy. And that was why he said continuation. For the first time, head of economic management team, who was finally suddenly metamorphosed into an IT guru, is saying that we should vote for him to change the economy. Why can't you change the economy today? The former trade minister, Alan Chamati, says we should vote for him to change the economy. When you were trade minister, member of cabinet, why at least he is saying that President Akufo-Addo always kept glue in his ears. So anytime he spoke at cabinet, they didn't listen to him. Dr. Bawumia never listened to him. Why couldn't they change the economy? This is the surprising nature of the MPP now. They have marked their own administration. They've marked their own scripts. And from all indications, even members of that same party Presidential aspirants of the MPP are making them fail. And that is why they are suddenly preaching change. I'm sure that in 2024, NDC will preach.
If you listen to the vice president very well, what he does say is
Yes.
that economic transformation is important. But within the current trend of the world, artificial intelligence, information technology, digitalization is the way to propel economic transformation. And that is why he's doing that. So on the economy, you do the transformational propelling of the economy using digitalization.
So
is that so difficult to understand?
No, it's not difficult. But we want to understand digitalization reducing the price of tomatoes to 2 Ghana cedis. We want to understand digitalization reducing
You're saying
the
you should
price,
deal with the bread and butter issues.
reducing the price of cement to 20 Ghana cedis. We want to appreciate digitalization reducing the price of a gallon of petrol to 13 Ghana cedis. We want to see digitalization reducing the rate of $1 to 1 cedi, $1. In fact, we want to see digitalization doing exactly what they promised the people of this country. If indeed you are calling Roland. If indeed digitalization is able to do all these basic things in the economy, why wouldn't the people of this country appreciate it? All we are saying, and let me tie my cloth to a very sympathetic Japan, who has already started crying foul. A very distinguished man, held in high esteem across the country, who has started crying foul because he knows the mindset of the MPP. He knows what Mr. Akufo-Addo is planning. He knows what the executive body is planning. And so I would kneel down with Kobne Japan to plead on them that they should beg, they should stop harassing other presidential aspirants. They should allow for a free level field. They should let Dr. Bawumia go and look for his personal funds and run his campaign. The president should stop endorsing Dr. Bawumia on platforms, and they should stop giving other aspirants an opportunity to do whatever they want to do. All these people are statesmen. Give them a free level playing field. We've done it in the NDC before. In our current election, Dr. Dufo was part, Honorable Kojo Bonsu was part. We gave everybody a free level playing field. They went into the election, and then President Mahama won landslide in that particular election.
Malik Basintali is a deputy communication officer of the NDC.
We are done. We are done with the conversation. We are done with the conversation.
Your reporters followed him. He was campaigning in a bus.
Which bus? Which bus again?
Check your reporters.
Which bus? What's the brand of the bus? What's the brand of the bus?
He's not using. He's not using state resources to campaign. Again, Dr. Bawumia is not campaigning.
The police following him.
I think the police following Malik, to be fair, last time we showed the video, and then when he visited, I think Adenta.
Almost all the constituencies in Greater Accra, it was in a bus. He did not go with a V8, so it's a lie.
So if we talk of state resources, Dr. Bawumia goes to sleep at residency.
Oh, let me
he
just
goes with the state bodyguards.
Please.
The police escort.
Let me, please. I have a number of messages to place. The 12. Hold fire. Malik, please sit down. Malik Basintali is a deputy communication officer of the NDC, and then also Awam Mohammed is also with the MPP's communication team. Thank you for joining me. And then also we had the distinguished director of communication of the MPP, Richard Ahinyagba, also coming in to make some clarification. We thank you as well. And then let me read a number of your messages. I have Aaron. Aaron is saying that if you look at all the messages that are coming in, there's every indication that there's bias towards Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. What is also more important is that the minority want to make a statement, and that statement is to show that justice needs to be available, fair and equitable to everybody else in Ghana. I also have a message from lawyer Sam Piyali, and then also a number of you, Jerry Amejo, you're with the Northtown constituency. All of you on our streams, Imelda Nassar, as well as Money, and then also all of you joining us. We thank you very much for those messages as well. Again, we'll bring you a latest update as to whether the roads and other constructions that heralded the Kumewu by-election are continuing. And then also we have a big discussion to talk about this morning. And we're talking about how it is possible to have twins but with different fathers. I'm interested in that conversation. Malik, you are interested in?
One shot left, one shot right.
All right. We're taking a break. We'll be right back with more.
Jackpot of the week. Place bets and hit the jackpot. Log